anywhere. We got so many chairs to choose from, Mary. All right, and also, please welcome voice actor and the voice of Andy Davis from Pixar's Toy Story films. Please welcome John Morris. Pick a chair, John, anywhere you want to sit. We've got so many chairs. It's House of Mouse. We spared no expense. We've got chairs coming out of our ears. Yes, indeed. Yeah, our mouse ears. I like that, Mary. I like it. Way to get into it. Yes, indeed. Now, so, Mary, first of all, I want to talk to you really quick. This is your first House of Mouse Expo.
This is my first House of Mouse, yes.
Yeah, how you doing?
Happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. How has it been so far meeting the fans?
Oh, it's been awesome. That's especially, I've been to a lot of different types of cons, but always the Disney specific cons. They have like, the most dedicated fans. So no, it's gonna, exactly. So it's gonna be here.
Yeah, they love it. Now, John, you've been here before, so welcome back, John.
Thank you.
Yes. So you having a good time again?
I'm having a great time. Yeah, to echo Mary, it's so fun to see the fans and the cosplay. I've already seen some Sanderson sisters. And
We got a Sully.
we got a Sully. I'm trying to think. I did see a Buzz Lightyear. Hope to see a few more Toy Story characters.
Yeah, I like that. All right. John, I gotta tell you, you probably don't remember this, but last time at House of Mouse, my wife and I, and you and Dina, we were walking through Disney's Hollywood Studios, and you were excited about it because there's toys at the parks that you can't get like at Target or Walmart. And I think you were real excited about a toy, and I remember giggling to myself, watching Andy excited about a Toy Story toy at Disney World, excited about it. I'm like, it was so surreal to me. I'm like, it's Andy, but it's not, but it is, and he likes the toy, so it's right. So thank you for that experience that you never knew happened.
Yes. No, I do remember that. And actually, it's funny. It reminds me of when I went to the gift shop of Toy Story Land, because I kind of lost my mind. Because it was like the source. It was like everywhere you look, clouds, and Woody and Buzz and Rex, and I think, I spent a lot of money. I was just like, I need all these things.
You spent all your Toy Story money in one shot.
Well, and especially living on the West Coast in San Francisco, I'm not always at Walt Disney World, so I was like, this is a rare opportunity. But the store employees were kind of laughing too, because I was like filling the bag, and I was like, oh my god,
It's Andy, y'all. He's buying everything. It's fine. Yeah. And speaking of in the zone, look at your shoes. I want to point out your shoes. Look at this.
Looks like I skinned Sully.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Awesome. All right, so let's get into this. We want to know more about the experience. Now, let's talk to you first, man. I'd like to start with you first. So as the voice of Boo, you were very young. So I want to ask, how old were you when they recorded you as Boo?
So I started at 2.5, and then I was brought in for a year, so 2.5 to 3.5. I was being followed around the studio.
Wow, 2.5. So tell us, what are the circumstances now? Because you don't remember. So what did they tell you? How did you end up being Boo? Because that's so unique. I remember when we learned that it was a real child.
So my dad was a storyboard artist on the movie, and as storyboard artists, they work, in the really beginning stages of the movie, so early on that they just needed a little girl to draw. They weren't even looking for voices yet. And so my dad was just in that meeting and, brought me in, again, 2.5, and I would just dance around the studio and, my mom would put my hair in pigtails. And so, they would always sketch this little girl with pigtails, later to find out that it was just easier to animate, so that's why she has pigtails. So I was originally just brought in just to sketch, and then as the movie progressed and they were sourcing voices, they're like, we have a little girl. Normally they have older people do younger people's voices, but, sometimes it just works out. And they were like, let's bring her to the official recording studio. This is at a different location. And my mom thought, my daughter's not an actress. She's not trained for this. She's probably gonna freeze up. And apparently I walked in, there was like a crew of 20 people all for me. And I walked in like I own the place apparently. And so that's just, it was just kind of like, just happened to be a part of it.
And they captured magic.
Yeah,
I think, Boo is a lot of people's favorite character as well, along with the monsters. So, we know Pixar is we love Pixar films because it's about the connections between the characters, right? So, can you tell me the moment when you were old enough to actually see the importance of Boo's and Sully's relationship? Like, when did they go, whoa, did you remember that moment, how old you were?
Let's see, that's a good question, actually. I've never been asked that.
Because you just grew up watching it, right?
Yeah.
It just was in the house.
No, well, you said Sully and Booze and Sully's relationship?
Yeah.
Did I come? I guess, I mean, it definitely took me a while, yeah, because at first I didn't really even know I was in a movie. And then, you know, and then I think it took like sometime in elementary school to really be like, wow, you know, I'm in a movie, and I didn't necessarily care. It just seemed like everyone at school did. And then I guess probably I'd say older, you know, because then I watched it so many times with so many people that I went through a long period of time without watching it. And then it was probably in high school again where, you know, one of my friends finally convinced me to rewatch it with them, where I really saw how special the movie was. And yeah, so I'd say probably in high school, you know, because I just lived my life with like just, oh, I'm Boo. And then actually coming back and watching it and seeing like, wow, this movie has like really is impactful, and like, it's, you know, so yeah, definitely as I was older, I probably really realized how special that connection was.
Yeah, and it is very special. I think that's one of the most heartwarming moments is that final scene where he puts the piece of the door in and he sees Boo again. I mean, we all. I mean, I think I cried. Did I think that out loud?
Too, so
yeah.
You're not alone.
And speaking of Boo, do you have any favorite Boo moments in Monsters Inc.?
Let's see.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. I definitely love just like when she first comes into Monster World. You know, just such like a typical child. Captured like child so perfectly when, you know, she's just like picking up his tail and putting it down, you know, picking it up, putting it down, and yeah, I think, you know, that's one of the first Boo moments, but it's one of the, you know, one of the most memorable for me. And yeah, and then like, you know, when she finally like takes charge of herself and jumps on Randall's back and starts whacking him with it. Randall was actually always my favorite character, so that part I was a little like, you know, but looking back, I'm like, yeah, strong, independent Boo, like, yeah, so yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's go back in time a little bit because you were so young. Do you remember your earliest memory of anything involved with the film that you remember yourself?
Yeah, so probably my earliest, vaguest memory, and then I'll do one that's a little bit more, you know, memorable for me. But I remember, you know, in a recording studio, you have the foam walls, and I just remember rolling on the walls. You know, I'm just a kid just playing on. So I remember doing that when I was little. And then when I was 5 is when the movie actually came out, and I was, you know, walking on the red carpet with Billy Crystal and everyone, and I was in kindergarten, just learned how to write my name, and I remember actually, like, you know, writing my name, and I drew my R's with a circle with 2 legs. And looking back, it looks like Mike Wazowski, but that's just how I drew my R's. And I remember specifically, I was, you know, signing it. It was really slow for everyone. And then there's one girl about my age there that I met. And she was the only person I wrote Mary Gibbs Boo. So I don't know. I just like little things like that where I remember. And I remember meeting Billy Crystal. There was a moment where like I was already there on the carpet, and he came up behind me and said Boo, and I knew the voice. I don't know if we met before this, but I turned around, Mike Wazowski, and like yeah, the press went wild. Yeah, I remember that.
What a fantastic memory. Now, you were also in credits before you were in Monsters Inc. because you were a production baby in Toy Story 2. And then I read that you were the baby voice of Kiara in Lion King 2. So tell us what a production baby is.
As far as I know, see, like they have years worth of my recording from 2.5 to 3.5. I was also Baby Riley in Inside Out, but that was afterwards. But they just like, if they needed a little like laugh or cry, or I don't know how much of the voice, like they just would pull my voice from what they were doing and be like, oh, well, we have a little girl that just babbled, that's just how we, oh my gosh, there's a Boo, there's Boo right there. I didn't notice that.
With the pigtails. With the pigtails.
Sorry, I'm sidetracked. Squirrel.
You got the Boo-doo.
The voodoo.
Yeah, anyway, I lost my train of thought now.
A production baby.
Oh yeah, so I was just, you know, in the studio, and if they needed something, they'd just pull it.
So you're like in the archives. You could be like the voice. You could be watching a new Pixar movie and a baby's born, and you're like, wait a minute, I think that was me.
Oh yeah, and you know they have to. You know, when I was younger, I'm sure they got permission from my parents, but like for Baby Riley, they had to like ask me to sign a contract and all that. So I would know, but yes, they would.
Yeah, you would know. Yeah,
they'd be like, oh, we need you for this random baby. I'm like, okay.
Cool. No words. Just, nice. Yes. Now you also have a YouTube channel. Can you tell us about it? Boo Grown Up.
Yeah, so I need to get more. I was really consistent, and then I got a boyfriend and got sidetracked. I broke both with him now, so I need to get back into it. But yeah, I do have a few videos up right now. It's called Boo Grown Up. And I'm really into like video editing, and I made the little animation at the beginning, the little intro. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I was like, essentially, I started, the first video was like, I'm gonna talk about Boo, but the channel's not gonna be all about Boo and Monster Inc. because that's not really, I'm not in voice acting now. I do a little like side projects, but it's a lot of it was just about my life. And so I talked about like, when I was 18, I started this ice cream truck, and I talk about that, and like, all these like random experiences that I've had. I'm just kind of like, it's like a little story time with me, I guess.
Wow.
So yeah, Boo Grown Up, and I will start posting more consistently, especially because I'm almost at that monetization point.
There you go, and you got new fans right here. Look at this.
Yeah.
So that's some inspiration. I want to sink in. At 18, you started an ice cream truck?
Yeah, okay, watch the YouTube video. No,
Okay, yeah.
no, I'll give a little spiel. I'm pretty random, kind of serial entrepreneur. And I was in college, and I watched this video that tells me I don't need to be in college. And I run down to my friend and go, we don't need college, we can start our own business. Anyway, stay in school. But we typed into Craigslist, work for yourself, and this 1974 VW bus came up, and we bought it and turned it into an ice cream truck. But
wow.
We actually did like hand scooped ice cream, so we had to get health inspections. If I knew how much work it was when we found that on Craigslist, I wouldn't have done it, but I'm glad we did. It was called Peaceful Creations, and we had like a sundae named MLK Jr. that was 1 scoop of chocolate and 1 scoop of vanilla.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, so that was fun. But to find out more, Boo Grown Up.
Boo Grown Up, yes indeed, the YouTube channel. And before we end talking to you and we move on to John, I want to ask you, you're working on a new project, and I think it's cool. You're actually working with a friend of mine who used to work here at Disney with me and is one of the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Isaac Singleton, and you voice a character, Janessa Jensen, in Heroes of Extinction.
I do, yeah. So I always said growing up, like people would always ask, do you want to get back into voice acting? And I wasn't one of the, we used to go to auditions when I was little, and I would show up in a flannel with a stain on my shirt. There'd be all these girls in like pageant dresses. And it's kind of then I decided like, no shame on that, but it wasn't like what I didn't want to go to witch auditions and all that. So but I always used to tell myself, if someone like, I came and offered me a position, or if it just kind of happened in my life, then I would take it. And I met C. Andrew Nelson at one of my other shows, and he was one of the Darth Vaders, wore the costume in a couple of the movies, and does the voice in video games, and also did a lot of the special effects on the film. And so they were just starting, this was like a few years ago, just starting this audio show. And so it's an audio show, kind of like a podcast, but really high production value. When you're listening to it, you have all the sound effects, and it really like sucks you in. And it's called Heroes of Extinction. And he goes, I see you as like one of the main characters, Janessa. And I told him, I'm like, I'm not an actress. And I'm like, he's like, but I believe in you. And it was really cool to like have him believe in me, and like, I could have done it without like such a good director, because like, again, I've never been acting school, there's none of that. But he was really good about like, oh, you're mad? Okay, your mom did this too, and like, just trying to get me into the mindset. And so, yeah, they're now it's expanding. They're now under an LLC called Adventurous Ideas, and I think adventurousIdeas.com. You can find them on Instagram, and the first episode is out on YouTube right now, and then all the rest you can find on a podcast app. But yeah, so that's been it's about a Heroes of Extinction, about a superhero that as he gets older, I think he reached about 50 or something. He's now losing his powers. And he has to look for a second in line, and that second in line is Janessa. And so, it's really cool concept. It's cool because I've always have two characters, play characters that are just me. Boo, I just didn't have to. I was just playing around. Yeah. And with Janessa, I'm not like making a different voice, which acting is way harder than I thought. Props to you if you could make a voice. I can't even try to sound like I was 3. But she's a girl that's like in martial arts, and she's like not very confident at first, but then builds her confidence. And I really do resonate with the character, and so it's cool to play characters kind of like in line with where I am in life at that time. And yeah, so Heroes of Extinction, go check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mary.
No, thanks for listening.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that insight. All right, so John, we're moving on to you, the voice of Andy.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Now, John, it's interesting because the directors really loved your audition. So let's go back in time and let's talk about how did you first find out about the audition for Andy, and tell us your unique way that you auditioned that actually got you the part.
Okay. So I was 6 years old, And this is 1990. And my mom said, your agent called and you have an audition and they want you to bring a toy to the audition. And I said, okay. She's like, pick one toy and bring it. So I brought all my X-Men figures. Because that is one toy. You know what I mean? And my mom said, that's like 40 toys. And I was like, and she said, pick one. And I said, this is one. And she was like, we're not following the rules. I was like, we're going to the audition now. So I brought all the toys. And then I walked into the room with a big box and they were all kind of like, that's more than one toy. And I dumped out all the toys and I just launched in. Storm, Wolverine, Professor X, all of them. And I did all the voices and I set up a whole little world and they just were like, that's what Andy does. Andy plays in his room and creates these worlds and creates these voices. And so that was the first audition. Then the second audition was with the script, and I think there was one more audition with the script with more people in the room. And then I got the role of Andy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because my next question leads into that. You're doing the voiceover as Andy, and it's not just, you're not just acting, but we're seeing Andy's imagination. You're telling us what's happening, and we follow along what Mr. Potato Head's doing. We know he's Mr. Potato Head, now he's a bad guy, and all these things. So, what was the process like having to voice Andy as he's playing in his imagination and telling the story?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I have clearer memories from Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3, but I can recall with Toy Story, John Lasseter in the booth with me because I was so little. And he was just like, okay, so here we are in this scene, and Andy has this toy and this toy, and you know, and just kind of like launching in with him and him just like helping me get to that place of play. Hats off to Pixar because they always had the toys in the booth.
Okay.
And which was really helpful because I could like literally take them out and see them and kind of move them and that really helped me. Like I'm actually playing with toys right now. And for me, just on a personal note, Andy's always been younger than me, which actually benefited me because like when I was in college, I was recording Andy going to college. And so it was like, okay, do you remember when you were packing up your room and going through your toys and talking with your mom? It's like, yes, I do. And I could tap back into that.
Wow. So it had to be unique too. It's a unique character because like you said, you're actually growing up with Andy. So what are some of the things that you would lean on as you had to play Andy through the years?
Yeah, well, just going back to Toy Story 3 because that everyone talks about that emotional final scene and crying, which I hear a lot from folks, and I cried and my family cried and yeah, and working with Lee Unkrich, I mean, I had more acting training by then. And then also he said, you know, think of a time, he's like, yes, think of when you went to college, but really it's like you're closing one chapter, you're opening another, you're saying goodbye to someone and you're not gonna see them again. It's a loss. It's you know, it's a goodbye and you're not gonna see them again. And I've kind of chills just thinking about it because they say tears in the writer, tears in the reader. I was emotional recording it, and I think that kind of came through once it was, you know, out in the world.
Yeah. And speaking of emotion, I want to ask you a question. As you're voicing Andy, Andy loves Woody. He loves his toys. Did you know how much Woody loved Andy because you're doing it? Did you learn that during the film, watching it? Or was that something told to you in the direction that Woody also loves you in the world of Andy never knows that Woody is real, like he can talk. But,
Right.
But Woody loves Andy in his world.
Yeah.
When did you know that love for Andy?
So they told me, like, you know, while we're recording, they tell us the story and we can kind of read the story, but that didn't really hit me until I was at the premiere and I'm seeing the whole beautiful film come together. and feeling all that emotion of that connection and such. I remember when I first, I was so little, and then hearing like the toys come alive when Andy's not in the room, I was just like, that's so cool. And then they're like, you can't tell anyone until the movie comes out. And so my friends are like, what are you working on? And I was just like, this project. Like, I can't say anything about it, but it's like, all of you are gonna love it, because it's so cool. It's such an amazing concept. And even I, I think a lot of kids, after seeing Toy Story, like, you kind of like leave your room and then like you open the door, a little crack. I don't know. It's kind of like, it gets your imagination going.
Yeah. Have you ever heard this? Two things. Turn the camera off because I'm asking some non-Disney questions right now. There was a rumor, and it's not true, but people would do it to this day. When they go to Disney and they see the Toy Story characters, they would yell, "Andy's coming." And the rumor is that the toys are supposed to fall into the ground, which doesn't happen. It does not happen. Have you ever heard of that?
I have. Yeah, I've seen it on social media. Yeah. And when I toured Toy Story Land last time, a few people were like, "Andy's coming, Andy's here," which was fun.
Yeah. The other rumor is there any truth to the rumor that Andy got its name from a little homage to Child's Play? because Andy is the boy that finds Chucky.
Right.
Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that definitively, but I wouldn't be surprised because, the creative team at Pixar, obviously they're all film buffs and know so much about film history, and it probably worked its way in there. I also get the question a lot, like what's up with Andy's dad, or like what do you think about Andy's dad? And I haven't heard anything definitively there, but if you think about it, like think of all the Disney princesses, they're all missing a parent.
Right.
And so there's, basically, and so there's kind of this history in Disney of that. And so I think that's kind of an allusion, kind of a reference to that.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So let's talk about favorite toys. Now we know that your one toy was the whole X-Men universe.
Yeah.
So Andy as Woody, do you remember your earliest age? Did you actually have, before the X-Men came along, a favorite toy that you would carry everywhere?
Yes. I got, I think for my 5th birthday or 4th birthday, I got a My Buddy.
Ooh.
Does anyone remember My Buddy?
Yeah. My Buddy and Me.
My Buddy and Me. Yeah, I had a My Buddy. And I took him everywhere. It was like, wherever I'm going, my buddy's going.
Yeah. Which is what inspired Child's Play. I'm kidding.
No, and then when John Lasseter was saying, think of your favorite toy, that's Woody, I was like, well, that's my buddy. So I could reference that.
Yeah.
He probably came to a recording session with me at some point too.
Oh,
wow. He just was my pal and was always next to me, always holding him. Yeah.
Now, you went from the films, and you also did the Toy Story 3 video game. So let's talk about voice acting in that, because that's a little different, right? Can you tell us the differences of voice acting in a video game as opposed to film, the same character?
Yeah, I feel like with video games, everything's just amped up. Like, it's just like faster, more intense, like more exciting. And I also sang You've Got a Friend in Me for Disney on Ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was really fun. And that was just like, sing as loud as you can because they're recording you, but then they're gonna blast it out to an arena. So that was a fun experience too.
Were you a singer? Are you a singer? Or was
I
it
am a singer. Yeah, I've been
Gotcha.
singing since I was 8 years old. So I took voice lessons growing up, and so I sing.
Is there anything you learned while you were working on the Toy Story films that you've implemented it outside when you're acting, doing voiceovers in different arenas? Movies?
I think really personalizing, because the directors always really helped me personalize what Andy was experiencing, and I think that's just really valuable because then it became more important. And I think if it's more important to me, it's then more important to the audience. So I've really kind of taken that piece. It's like, even in, like, I went to UCLA for theater and did a lot of acting classes there, and it was like, how can I personalize this monologue? How can I personalize this scene? When in my life have I experienced this, and what did that feel like? You know?
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the other characters you voiced, and maybe something you're working on now?
Yeah. So I also voiced Santa Boy in The Nightmare Before Christmas, and so he's the little. So Jack Skeleton lands on the roof. Santa, and he runs down the stairs, and then, honey, what did Santa bring you? And he pulls the head out. That's me. So I worked with Tim Burton, which was really awesome, and that recorded in San Francisco where I was living, which was awesome. And then I still have a voiceover agent, and I do a lot of commercials. I also am starting to work on a animated series. I unfortunately can't say anything about it. I wish I could, but at some point you're gonna see it, you're gonna hear it,
And that's what he was talking about.
I think you'll enjoy it. And so that's exciting. But yeah, a lot of commercial work and still doing voiceover.
Tell us, is it Disney or is it the?
It is. I can tell
Will it
you.
be on Disney Plus?
I can tell you, it's not Disney.
Okay, so I was just curious.
But I wonder if it may be on Disney Plus at some point.
It might. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Disney,
I know.
Disney almost owns everything, so everything ends up on Disney Plus.
It is tricky. Just as I was saying earlier, like how they said, don't tell your friends until it comes out. And I think Mary relates to this too. It is tricky because you're in this exciting creative process and you can't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
So it feels like you just go into this tunnel, and then eventually, like 6 months or a year later, the world could experience it. But it is exciting what I'm starting to work on, and I'm excited for the world to experience it too.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going back to both of you.
Okay.
You've both been in the film, so I have some trivia. I have some Monsters Inc. trivia, and I have some Toy Story trivia. Here's the twist. All right, Mary, you get Toy Story trivia. And John, you get Monsters Inc. trivia. But
All
you
right.
can help each other, and if not, the audience can help.
I could probably barely answer Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm wishing I had watched Monsters Inc. last night. I love it
At least
though.
you have
So
one
here we
movie.
go.
I would have 4 to catch up.
Okay.
All right, Mary, we're going to start with you. Here's your trivia question. In Toy Story, what kind of dog is Buster? What kind of
Is
dog
that the
is
slinky one? No,
No, Buster, yeah. Andy's dog, the family dog. What type of dog
I'm trying to
is
think of
Buster?
some huge dog, but it's probably just looked huge to the toys.
You're right, he did look used to the
Is it
toys.
a cocker spaniel? Does anyone notice off the top of their head? You know?
Let's ask a friend.
Ask a friend.
Yeah, let's hear.
He's a wiener
Oh,
dog.
see, I was thinking Slinky because I know Slinky.
Yeah, Slinky, yeah, Slinky is, yeah.
She said that was my
Wiener's
first
dog.
thing. Making
Yes,
excuses
indeed.
for why I don't know anything.
Oh no, you still got time to make up.
Okay.
All right, he is a dash hound. All right, so John, we're going to you.
Okay.
Now, what is Celia's nickname for Mike Wazowski? She's got a nickname for him.
Kitty? No,
No, wait.
No, that's Sully. That's Sully.
Sully, no. Yeah.
That's Sully.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
Celia.
Celia.
Oh, Celia.
Celia to Mike Wazowski.
Celia, who works at the front desk?
Yup.
Okay.
She sees him.
Okay. Oh dear.
Mm.
I can see them. I can like see them in my mind's eye.
I sometimes are. I don't know if I'm helping.
Cyclops?
If you've got the eyes that jump around with those glasses, they call it.
Crazy eye?
Yeah, you're almost there.
Wild eyes. Googly eyes?
Yes, googly eyes.
Okay.
I think it's Googly
Googly
Bear.
eyes. Okay.
Googly eyes, you got it.
Googly Bear.
Googly bear, that's right. Googly
Googly
bear.
bear.
Googly bear.
And then Boo calls Sully Kitty.
Yes.
Okay.
You are correct. But that's not the question, John. That is not the question.
But it's a nickname. It's a
It
nickname.
is a nickname. All right, Mary, we're going over to you. This is a tough one. What is Lotso's full toy name?
Who?
Lotso's full toy name.
Which one's
Lotso.
Is that the clock?
The bear.
Oh.
It starts with
You
Lotso.
tried. Lotso Jr.
That's Luxo Jr. That was close.
Yeah.
You.
Huggy Bear.
Yes, I will give it to you. Lotso Huggin' Bear.
Yeah.
Bonus question. What does he smell of? What type of fruit?
Strawberry.
You are correct.
I
You got one. You had a strawberry.
I had a, yeah.
Ooh, all right. Okay, John. Oh, we're going to you, John. John, ooh, what is Boo's real name? What is Boo's real name?
Oh my
It's a little
gosh.
hidden gem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's and it's
Boo's
a tribute.
real name?
It's a tribute to someone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a tribute, John, to someone. Yeah, perfect tribute for her real name to be the person that is sitting next to you. Her name.
Oh. Wait. Mary.
Yes.
It's like everybody here remembers my name.
Boo's real name is Mary.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, indeed. Secrets. All right.
I mean, I know Boo is voiced by Mary,
Yeah,
and
right.
Boo's real name
There's
is
a little
Mary.
tribute to her.
Okay.
You can see her name in the film. Okay. All right. Mary, this goes to you. What type of dinosaur is Rex?
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Yay.
Also a nervous Rex. That's true. You said it. Okay. All right. Back to you, John. Who is the CEO of Monsters Inc.? The CEO of Monsters Inc.
Oh, jeez. That's a good impression. I can see
You
him.
can see him.
I think I need a hint.
When you're thirsty, you drink.
Water.
And then sometimes when you tie a knot, you make a.
But not you.
Nah. Wait.
Look at him.
Water. Water noose?
Yes! Oh, bonus. How many eyes does he have? Oh, how many eyes? Does he have 1, 17, or 5?
5?
Yes, you are correct. Okay, Mary, back to you. How old is Andy in Toy Story 3? How old is Andy?
Oh, that's the college one where you're about to go off
Yeah.
college. So 18, 17.
Yes, 17.
You got it.
All right, final question. John, this is for you. Close this out. Who is Boo's monster? Who is Boo's monster? The one she's scared of. There's only one. Who is Boo's monster?
yeah.
The only monster she's scared of.
Right. Again, I can see.
You can see it. You can always see it. The only one she's scared of.
Randall.
Randall.
That's
Yes,
right.
indeed. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Give it up for them. They did a fantastic job.
Thank you for your help.
Better than I did.
Yeah, you
No,
both did good. You both did
We both
good.
did great.
Yes, indeed. So, what I want to do now is I want to open it up for our Q&A for you. If you have any questions for Mary or John, yes, your question, and I'll repeat it if they can't hear it.
How did Mary get the nickname Boo?
How did Mary get the nickname Boo?
Now that we know.
I know that's a good question. I remember. Isn't the first time she says boo, she's in the sushi restaurant and she says boo. I don't know in the actual like in this writing of the story how they came up with boo.
Okay.
Maybe just she's just surprised and I don't. Yeah, that's actually a good question, but I don't really know the answer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like if it has something to do with me or like. That's actually a good question.
Yeah. I think we can figure it out. Let's try to figure this out.
Yeah.
I think in the film, I would assume that because she keeps saying boo,
Yeah.
and they don't know, they've never seen a human outside, and they're all kind of scared of her.
Yeah.
Maybe they just like the boo. That's her name. Yeah. It's kind of like
You
if,
just say that in the sushi restaurant. Boo.
yeah,
So.
and everybody's going crazy. So I guess to them, boo is a creature, right? So it's like you don't touch them. So if you saw a weird creature and it just kept saying one name, I guess the nickname would be whatever that creature would say. So that's what I
Let's ask
think.
Boo. Here she is.
Yeah, there she is. Boo. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, over here. And then we'll come to you.
Hi. So my question is for Andy, and I was wondering, with how today is and how all our 90s babies, we keep all of our toys, all of our Star Wars, all of the things, you know. If Toy Story was set today, do you think Andy would have kept his toys, or do you think he would have moved on?
Great question. You know, I totally agree with you that I think with the 90s and the 80s, and there's this nostalgia that isn't quite present today. I think that, Andy loves his toys so much that I think he would still have the connection with them. But if the film came out today, I think there'd be much more like digital. Like Andy would have like devices and like, you know, be playing video games and be on his iPhone, and like it would be more like he'd be all about the apps, and like, you know, it just would be kind of a different.
Pixar loves those tearjerkers, so probably still leave them.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. No, it's true. Yeah.
Yes, you had a question over here, and then we'll come to you.
This is for both of you. So, just totally random question, but if you had like unlimited access to the studios and the parks and everything like that, what sort of project would you guys want to do?
Ooh, so
Anything you wanted in the movies or the parks.
oh wow, so attractions, shows, or movies? What would you choose? What would you do? You have to start. She's got the budget for it. What's going on?
Do you want to start or should I start?
You start, you know.
I'll start. Okay. Well, I will say that, of course, I love Toy Story Land, and I also am a Star Wars fan, and I love Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and Rise of the Resistance is like one of the best rides I've ever been on in my life, because you feel like you're in the movie. And so I'd probably like just try to do some sort of mashup. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'd get the cast of Toy Story together and we'd all go around Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And then like some Star Wars characters would run around Toy Story Land, and I don't know, we'd like film a documentary or something, and maybe it'd be like people would then switch, and I don't know, some sort of mashup, because I love those two worlds. Okay. It kind of sounds like a fun idea, right?
Yeah, something like that. The first thing that like popped to my head was like, I've never been to Disney World, so I just want to go for one day. But really what I would do as far as like, because you mentioned the studios, so like I grew up going to Pixar, and you could my dad worked there, and you know, you could take a scooter and like scoot around everywhere and go like all the different offices. Everyone decorates their offices. Like there's one section that like everyone has little tiny houses for offices. But my dad, like, I'm not trying to be down right now, but my dad passed away a couple years ago, and he left Pixar before that, but like I haven't been to Pixar in a while, so I would love to just like go there, then give me a scooter, and me just like go anywhere I want. Cause like, you know, there's restricted access, which I was able to go when I was younger because my dad worked there, but I just want to go there, unlimited access, just be able to just like relive my, you know, childhood of just like scooting around, and yeah, so that's like probably really what I would do if I could do it. Yeah, so yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, I see the behind the scenes when I watch the documentaries of the films, and my dream is to go to Pixar because it's so much fun.
Oh, I'm sure you've been there. My favorite part was where they film they have a movie theater where they show the movies that they make, and the lights dim and then the stars come out. You look up and there's stars, and you hear like all like nature noises. Anyway, I just had a flashback to that. I want to go watch a movie in that theater too.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful theater. Yeah, and they also have like a little Pixar shop, which is really awesome. And there's some things that they just sell there. And, yeah.
And I want to go just for the gift shop, really.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Had a question over here?
Hey, yes, this is for John. So I was reading your bio for the expo, and it blew my mind that you were also Pepper in Lego Island. So we don't have to dwell on it too long. Nobody else probably knows what that is. But is that before or after Toy Story? And do you have any anecdotes that you'd like to share from that?
Yeah, so it's so funny you say that, because sometimes I have fans come up to the table for that specifically, because it's like, oh my God, Lego Island. And I grew up playing Legos, so I love Legos too. Yeah, so what I remember from those recording sessions, it was kind of all together. It was like recording Toy Story, and then recording Nightmare Before Christmas, and then recording Pepper, Lego Island, and then recording Toy Story 2. Like, it was kind of all in that same, like, early to mid to late 90s. But what I remember for that is they were like, you are the quintessential, like, California, like, skater. And so when they had me do a bunch of ad-libs, I was just like, you know, like, the dude with the food, and like, cowabunga, and like, whoa, and like all that stuff. Like, they were just like, do all that, and like, and that's how I kind of created the voice, because they didn't really have a sense of what the voice would be fully until they were just like, ad-lib a bunch. And so it was really fun. And then I got to play the game, which was awesome. and I like pizza. Who doesn't like pizza? So there's that too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, this is for John. I just want to know, which one's your favorite toy from Toy Story? Woody or Buzz?
Oh. It's okay. It's okay. Well, look at my shoes. No. I will say this. Woody is like the OG. I mean, he loves all the toys, but then Woody is like, you know, he's on the bed. He has the whole cowboy theme. And then Buzz comes as like the new, you know, the new like innovation in a way, like the new toy, the new sparkly toy. So I do think Andy has a special place in his heart for Woody, just as that OG. And then Buzz just kind of opens up his world and his imagination too. I guess I'd have to say Woody.
Yes.
Being voice actors for both of you, do you guys ever get tired of hearing your own voices in films?
But for me, I was 3. And someone asked me yesterday, like, how is it hearing your voice? I like hearing myself in the audio show, cringy. Like, it's like when you hear your voice now, you're like, I sound like that. And since I was so young, like, and it was that one film, I'm like, it's surreal, but like, I'm sure you've been more, so you could probably like more fully answer that question. But
Well, so for me, I guess I'm used to it in a way, just because it's now been, I'm 38 years old, and I started when I was 6. So it's like been 32 years. But I will say this, I can still voice, like I can still do the voice from Andy in Toy Story 3, but it's a lot more challenging for Toy Story 2 and Toy Story. And so just because I was so little, and so when people ask, I'm like, I can do the voice.
puberty happens.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and it's just like, but it's, I don't know, it doesn't, I do watch the movies sometimes, but I don't watch them all the time. And sometimes people want to watch them with me, which is fun, and I guess I've just grown used to it. But at the beginning, I remember it being very surreal, like each premiere, because I'm seeing the whole film for the first time, and then my voice, it's like, and then it's like, oh, they cut that, okay. Oh, they did that, okay. They changed that, and it's okay, yeah.
Yes, Robbie.
I'm kind of curious, what do you think Andy studied in college?
Great question. What do you think he studied in college?
I mean, if he's imaginative, maybe he went on to like become part of the Pixar process as like a storyboarder.
Yes. Yeah.
I imagine that Woody would like continue having his
Yes. So that's a great question, and a few other fans have shared their theories with me as well. That he becomes an animator or a director or a writer, just because he's so creative. I think of Andy as like he has such a good heart and he's such a good person, especially in contrast to Sid. And he loves dogs. Like he loves Buster and he loves Slink, and so part of me's always thought like maybe he became a veterinarian, maybe he's a pediatrician because he's really good with kids, like with Bonnie when he gives the toys. Maybe he's a teacher. So it's interesting to think about, yeah. And I wonder if one day that question will be answered.
Yeah,
You better make a Monsters Inc. 3 before they make a 5.
Okay. The race is on.
Yes, indeed. And on that note, thank you so much. How about another round of applause for Mary Gibbs and John Morris? Don't forget to check her out. Boo Grown Up. You've got a new project you're working on. We can't wait to see it.
Heroes
you
of
are,
Extinction.
yes, thank
Yes.
you. And yes, Heroes
And
of
come by
Extinction.
and visit us at our tables, and we can talk more and share more stories.
Thank you.